be taken through criminal courts for running drone programs. It killed lots of innocent people.
Oh man, if you do that, then you're gonna have to lock up every single.
So your logic, okay, but to pick you up on that, Charlamagne, your argument against doing that is you then have to do it for everybody else, right? But Trump wasn't afforded that logic with this prosecution.
Well, we're in a new day and age, and I guess this is how it's going to be moving forward.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't know if we want that. Like, there's been people right now that's calling, for if the federal cases against Trump happen, they're calling for Joe Biden to pardon Trump. I don't know, Piers. Like, we about to see some things in America that we've never, ever seen before.
I think so, too.
Forward.
And that's why I asked you,
I think
is it
so
good
too,
for
man.
America? And I think probably you kind of
becoming
agree
a banana
with me.
republic.
Ultimately, I'm not sure any of this is good for America. Looking at it from outside America at the moment, I love America.
I don't know.
I love Americans, but watching what is happening here is really unsettling. It feels like a kind
they damn near violated the Constitution to convict Trump, man. I'm not a pro-Trumper, by the way, but that shit was some bullshit.
Like sort of wild, corrupt, South American regime. It's like, it doesn't feel like America.
From fucking Venezuela,
but the only
man.
reason I say I don't know is because if I say no, this isn't good for America because of what happened in New York. What about when a president, does things like attempts to lead an insurrection of this country?
Right.
What about when the president does things like tries to overthrow the results of an election, like what? Those are things that I feel like should be punished because none of that is constitutional. So, for me to say, hey, this isn't right, I can't say that because if I say that about this, then that means even the bigger things that he's accused of, I got to dismiss those too. And I don't necessarily agree with dismissing those.
Let's just play you a clip. This is from your last interview with me when I asked you about Trump. Let's listen to this. I need a name, Charlamagne.
Is he winnable? I really don't know.
You got to give me a name.
Who's going to win?
Biden v. Trump.
It's not Dean Phillips.
It's not going to be Dean Phillips. I really, truly don't know. If I had to say right now, I would say Donald Trump.
Wow. There we go, the casting vote. Charlamagne the God, the man with his finger on the pulse of America. Trump.
Maybe, but I don't know. I really.
It's a long time.
That's what's so scary about it.
So I'll ask you the same question post-conviction. Do you still think this is not about whether you want him to win, but do you still think Trump will win?
I truly, really don't know now, and I'll tell you why. I think, like most elections in America, it comes down to the bases. And, right now, Donald Trump's base is very energized, behind, this conviction. Like, last week in New York City, they had Fifth Avenue blocked off. Guy was walking around Fifth Avenue with an F Joe Biden sign, and then there was all of a bunch of Joe Biden signs, up and down the block. And on the flip side, a lot of President Biden's base, doesn't seem too energized, by him right now. I mean, especially when you look at, the Muslims in Michigan, who are mad over, what's happening in Gaza. If they sit out, in mass, it could be a real problem, for President Biden. But then on the flip side of that, you go in, like I said earlier, the 49% of independents who, think Trump should drop out. So literally right now, I think it's going to come down to who can energize their base the most, who can make those diehard, constituents come out in droves in November. And I don't know, I really don't know who that's going to be.
Have you decided yet who you're going to vote for?
Have I decided yet who I'm going to vote for?
He's voting for
I believe so.
Would you like to share it with me?
No. not at all. But I tell everybody, this is what I do with my listeners. I put all the facts as I know them on the table. I bring on people who, want to cheer for their respective sides. Like I said, we had Governor Josh Shapiro in here. He's clearly a surrogate of Joe Biden. But then, we've had,
so you got to think like, man, so after Trump's conviction, they raised over $60 billion for his campaign. So they're not really, he's still as popular as he was before, or even more popular now. So the reality of it is, like, if we leave the election how it is today, like, he's for sure going to take it because nobody's really voting for Joe Biden. And like you said, most of the swing states, those marginalized groups like the Muslims and stuff, they're not going to go out and vote for Joe Biden. So he might lose the swing states and it's pretty much a wrap for Biden, right? But Now it's like you got to think like, what else do they have in their arsenal that they can possibly do to Trump? Could they send him to jail July 11th? Could they even, off him? Like, you never know, man. And the reason they're so threatened of a Trump presidency is because he's going to come in there and shift things as far as the administration is concerned. The Biden administration, how it's handling the feds and how it's allocating the money, the profits into different defense budgets and putting them in certain hedge funds that favor like these big time weapons manufacturers like the Northrop Grumman's and the Raytheons, all that shit, bro. That's that's propelling and fueling all these wars. Like, you got to understand the Federal Reserve is a privately owned organization. That was created back in Miscall Island or whatever the hell it is, and these guys came up with the whole concept of the Federal Reserve, and they assigned the Congress. The reason why it's the Federal Reserve is because it's tied to the government. So the Congress assigns the state of the board of directors, the governors that govern the Federal Reserve, and the people that the Biden administration has under his that are in control of that are, they're making these monetary policies that are fucking destroying the economy. So when Trump comes in and takes those people out who are obviously lobbied against and they're financed and funded through these different lobbyist organizations. So when he comes in and sweeps house, these, all these wars that you're seeing now could possibly come to an end because a lot of the financing that's being allocated to these defense budgets and them sending all these billions of dollars that's all coming from the feds, from the Federal Reserve. So when he wipes those people out and installs a government that won't be able to do that, and to scam the freaking American people out of their tax dollars to fund all these wars, then all this shit comes to an end pretty much. As disturbing as it is to say it, America profits a lot, profits from these wars that are going on. So the longer they go on, the more money the military industrial complex allocates, so, and the more control and power they have. And that's how the shit's this fucking cycle. So that's why they're so threatened by a Trump presidency. And I'm not saying I'm a pro-Trumper, because he is still somebody that I feel like he's unpredictable, number one. And number two, he hasn't denounced the foreign entity that he's still kind of he hasn't denounced the foreign entity that's behind a lot of these atrocities, and that's something that I'm not gonna rock with. If he continues the war in the Middle East, I'm not rocking with Trump. Fuck that. Just keeping it real.
People like Candace Owens in here, and different conservatives like Vivek Ramaswamy.
No, that's why I love your show.
Yeah, so it's like, I just want everybody to get all the information and make their own decisions. We've had third-party candidates in here. We've had RFK Jr. here. We've had Cornel West, Marianne Williamson. I want to put everything on the table. I want all my listeners to get as much information as they can about everything that's available for them to vote for, and they go make their own decisions.
The latest polls suggest that 17% of Black Americans would now vote for Trump, a significant increase on either of the two last elections.
I don't believe that shit, bro. I don't believe all these little statistics they come. Yeah, I don't believe that shit.
I don't believe it, and the reason I don't believe it, a month ago it was 22%. I think all of those polls are a little bit overstated. I think what happened. First of all, I would like to know who they're polling, because I've never met anybody who's
the fuck are they polling?
My good sister Angela Rye, she has a great podcast called the Native Land Podcast with Andrew Gillum and Tiffany Cross, and they just literally had a discussion about that last week. I don't know any Black person who's ever been polled. So I would like to know who they're polling. But I think what you're experiencing right now is, like I said earlier, you have the exhausted majority. In every presidential election year, we have this. It's the same exact conversation. Black people are disappointed. Black people are fed up with the Democratic Party. So if you're talking to Black people, some Black people in this moment, I think that's what you're getting, and when it comes to a lot of these polls, because and even when you see those poll numbers, it's not because of anything that, Donald Trump is doing. I think it has to do more with what Black people feel. And like I said, I can't speak for all Black people, but I'm just basing this off conversations that I've had. what a lot of black people feel the Democratic Party hasn't done for them over the years. Not even just this current Biden administration.
Yeah, like I don't understand how because we know like there's a huge portion of I would say like as far as black women are concerned, they're not voting for Donald Trump. That's just the reality of it. Whether it be because of the whole abortion situation or the pro-life stance that Trump has, so. That and then they're just not, they've always been lifelong hardcore Democrats. So maybe there's a shift in like black men who are kind of sick of the Democratic Party. That could be possibly, but how are they even polling these people, and how are they even identifying and polling these people? Like that's the thing that you got to ask yourself. Like, where are these fucking polls coming from? They're just pulling them out their ass. They're just kind of assuming like. These that 17% of the black community, for example, is voting for Trump. Like most people are going to sit out. Like I have a prediction that this is going to be the presidential race where there's a lot of people that just don't go out and fucking vote, and you're going to see like that it's gonna be at a record high where people sit this one out because it's two 81-year-olds that we don't really know what their motivation is, and we don't know because they keep telling us one thing and they keep bullshitting. Biden told us that he was going to wipe out student loans and he was going to be his peacemaker, and he ended up being a warmonger, and we're even more in debt. So, you don't know what the fuck you're going to get. And these guys are, again, like, they're being financed and funded and lobbied through these different organizations, and you don't know what the hell is going on, right? Trump could be playing his base, but end up, he's already taken $100 million from that Adelson chick, the Adelson Foundation or whatever the hell it is. Who's she behind? Who's employing her ass? So it's like it gets real messy, man. So I don't believe any of these damn polls.